had asked... Good afternoon, traveler. I didn't expect the honor of witnessing your harmonizing talents here in Mondstadt. Both, actually. A lady calling herself a mage asked me to come manage her flower shop. At about the same time, the Cat's Tail commissioned me to create a new fragrance for their establishment. Ending today's busy schedule with a drink crafted by you in person is truly a wonderful reward. I have faith in your choice.
Care to give this a try, Miss Emily?
Your artistry is truly a pleasure to watch. This tastes like a local variant of a Lumideuse Twilight. Am I right? The gentle and elegant taste, with its distinct layers combined with a hint of Mondstadt's characteristic scent, offers quite a welcoming flavor, all the while avoiding potentially discordant aromas. Though in reality, there's no need for you to be so conservative. I have quite a high tolerance for flavors that stray outside the boundaries of conventional wisdom. Your drink was nice, but it would be perfect if you could make one with a little more depth. A cocktail that shows off your unique understanding and enhances my impression of Mondstadt. If you need time to mull things over, perhaps you might find inspiration in a little light conversation? Oh, thank you for asking. It's been going well, though this trip to Mondstadt has presented some unexpected challenges. When I first got here, I was relying on a copy of An Overview of Aromatic Substances and the Human Senses to identify promising local ingredients from the Mondstadt region. To my surprise, my trial fragrance, which used valberry as the primary note, proved far too sweet in the context of a tavern, relaxing people so much that they ended up feeling drowsy. The bartender with the beautiful ears, for instance, fell asleep right at the bar. Let's just say that sweetness isn't always a case of the more the merrier. Maintaining an appropriate balance is beneficial for both body and mind. Even in daily life, I rarely eat sweet food, and I try to avoid fruits like berries that have a high sugar content. In the end, I completely eliminated valberry as an ingredient and turned instead to windwheel aster, with some success, I might add. They're part of my reward from the flower shop owner. Important ingredients for making perfumes. Thanks to these, I was able to complete my commission for the cat's tail. I studied Mondstadt's Cecilia flowers many years ago. In fact, the fragrance of Cecilia in certain fields has become synonymous with Mondstadt itself. However, this is a special case. Some cats are quite averse to the scent of Cecilia, and we need to be particularly mindful of their preferences. Windwheel aster. The various parts of the windwheel aster plant can be ground into a powder to extract their essences. I then blended the scents from its petals and leaves. The result carries the intoxicating sweetness of mead, while still emphasizing the fresh notes contained within the flower's stems and leaves. I just took it for a little trial run at the cat's tail, and the cats seemed to really like it, while the clients themselves found it comforting and invigorating. Extracting exquisite fragrances from ordinary overlooked ingredients? Oh, that's what truly brings me joy. Usually, after work, my friends from the Maison Gardiennage sometimes treat me to a few drinks. I usually stick to fruit tea. That way I can get straight back to work after our gatherings. If it's before a holiday and my friends are in high spirits, I sometimes order a small glass of sparkling fruit wine. There was an officer named Terena who used to treat me to aged Corte wine, but since she was transferred to the Special Security and Surveillance Patrol, we haven't had the chance. In the world of science, high-proof alcohol is a widely used solvent. I've grown well accustomed to the smell of it by now. Besides, when I'm slightly tipsy, my state of mind changes, which in turn alters my approach to perfumes. It doesn't matter if the result is good or bad, it's all about trying something new. So I don't mind drinks with just a little bit of alcohol, but I don't like anything too strong. It really is. A while earlier, I watched a whole run of fair weather clouds float by, fluffy as pillows. It's not overly humid either, and the wind is gentle too. In such conditions, one's sense of smell is heightened, but not to an excessive degree. When scents are blended well, they naturally combine with the ambient context, leaving particularly powerful impressions. It seems something similar is true for mixology. As long as you choose a base of appropriate strength, the various flavors will blend seamlessly together. When mixed properly, all the ingredients work as one to create a most wonderful symphony for your taste buds. Yes, that's it. Now I think about it, layering distinct flavors doesn't really suit my personal preferences. Just from our brief chat, you've already formulated a new concoction. Perhaps you possess a natural talent for this kind of creative work.
Here you go, a new and improved, Emily-inspired Lumiduce Twilight. I haven't come up with a name for it yet.
The colors are cooler and more refreshing, and the fragrance is delightfully subtle to match. Are these bright specks on the surface the crushed petals and leaves of windwheel asters? I'm sure it must taste wonderful. Let me try. In the language of flowers, the windwheel aster represents the visible winds. Your cocktail not only captures their form, but also the fragrance they carry. Therefore, I suggest you call this drink Windborne Bouquet. The winds and clouds of Mondstadt swirl together in the glass, leaving behind enchanting traces of fragrance. Really? Oh, perhaps it's just a habit of my profession. I'm glad you like it. Now it's time to slowly savor this masterpiece. Thank you so much. This trip to Mondstadt has been so rewarding. This is the most memorable cocktail I've ever had. Once I get back to Fontaine, I will attempt to recreate this moment as both a fragrance and a perfume. Once I've perfected the recipes, I hope you'll do me the honor of being the first customer to experience these new products. Until then, I look forward to seeing you in the Court of Fontaine.
So you're looking after the drink stand now. If I'd known sooner, I would have stopped by this morning. I've got to say, I'm getting curious. I've heard a lot about your mixology skills. I wonder what kinds of drinks you can mix with the ingredients Glenfiddich has prepared. I don't have much of a choice. It's just one thing after another right now. First off, the Knights of Favonius annual combat assessment is coming up. And this year, the standards are higher than ever. As the captain of the reconnaissance company, I have to lead by example. At the very least, I need to rank as one of the top 3 captains in the practical portion. So, I've been intensifying my training lately. Being a descendant of sinners means I have to work hard to maintain my position. I'll have you know I've never once neglected my duties. Anyway, on top of all that, the General Affairs Company has invited a renowned champion duelist from the Court of Fontaine to come here for a swordsmanship exchange. Since I'm one of the captains with the highest attendance rate when it comes to these things, and I'm fairly skilled with a claymore, I was chosen as our representative. I have to prepare thoroughly to make sure I'm a serious match for the champion duelist. And then after the exchange, I need to write at least 6 different reports based on the results. Oh, I sure could. Anything that'll perk me up would be welcome. I'll leave the details to you.
One twinkling starlight for Captain Eula. Hope you like it.
Judging by your confident tone, I'm certain I will. Well then, I'll make sure to savor this thoroughly. Huh, not bad. Sweet and tingly, with a delightful airiness. The fizzy water really brings it to life. I suddenly feel full of vim and vigor, but just one glass doesn't quite scratch the itch. How about something with a bit more bite? Don't hold back. You don't need to worry about putting me on the floor with nothing but a couple of drinks. Works for me. The first company hasn't assigned me any paperwork for tonight, so I'm free to catch up and try your new creations at my leisure. That's right. The merchant I got it from called it Romaritime Flower Fruit Extract. It has a very unique smell. Here, have a bottle. Oh, it's a necessary courtesy. In that book Miss Magistus lent me, The Blade Dancer, 20 Years On, it says, after a duel, a Fontanian swordsman will politely invite their defeated opponents to a banquet. To properly play host to Miss Clorinde, I searched for quite some time to locate a rare goods merchant in Dorman Port who sold this juice. I had my doubts at first, too. But Amber said something that makes a lot of sense. She said that even if this custom doesn't really exist, following it still shows I've made an effort to understand Fontaine's cultural heritage. Besides, who doesn't like trying new things, right? I'll treat Miss Clorinde to this juice at our post-training banquet. If you want to know what I've been eating recently, I'd better start by mentioning the logistics company's latest revolution. They launched a diet improvement initiative and started distributing a form of standardized canned food to knights operating in the wilderness. In the past, we only had dry rations. Every mealtime we had to set up pots and campfires, roll dice to choose a cook, and take turns standing guard. In all honesty, it was a bit of a hassle. Now we just need to bring our standard field rations, comprising of 5 cans and 9 paper packages. We can heat the cans by the campfire, and then we're ready to eat. You did say, sounds like, right? Our canned food supplier has quite the stellar reputation, and their regular meals are indeed quite good. The problem is, in order to meet preservation standards, they have to make their military-grade meals way too salty. The vice captain of the 5th Company, who has a somewhat dry sense of humor, went so far as to say, this food's bad enough to bring down the wrath of Liyue's stove god. In any case, after eating it for a week, my taste buds have gone completely numb. You can hardly blame the logistics company. After all, it is hard to please everyone. Our feedback has already been submitted, and they should be working on fixing the issue. Of course, having fresh meals prepared in camp by a dedicated company chef is still the best option. Yes, I have. For a while, the situation there was difficult. A gang of outlaw engineers was messing about with some sort of mechanism control technology, attempting to manipulate ruin graders so they could rob merchant caravans. To make matters worse, several veteran knights who had been stationed at Dorman Port were transferred to my squad, and they weren't happy to be taking orders from that Lawrence girl. Leading them on this mission was quite eventful. It took 3 weeks of stealth operations in the snow, with no fires to keep us warm, before we finally located the enemy's stronghold. Those veteran knights faced the bitter cold and were almost taken down by the enemy's smuggled battle mechs. Fortunately, the battle went our way, and they had no choice but to acknowledge my abilities. Me? I'm completely fine. But thank you for your concern. It was mentally tiring for sure, but fortunately, the operation wore them down far more than it did me. They won't be questioning my authority again anytime soon. If any new recruits try to make my life difficult, I'll just have my veterans give them a few friendly pointers. I guess you could call them a permanent solution, huh? Oh my. To be honest, I'm eager to begin, but also a little nervous. Miss Cloran's combat style comes from the mysterious Marechaussee hunters. In the library, there are some old Fontanian newspapers from hundreds of years ago that give some idea of how formidable an organization it was. A more recent newspaper claimed that Miss Cloran was an orphan from an underwater kingdom, and that before battle she would perform rituals inviting spirits to possess her sword. Assuming these rumors are true, or that Miss Cloran's abilities might even be more extraordinary than that, it's important that I'm prepared for anything. Incorporating elements of swordsmanship into a drink? Huh. Certainly a creative idea, I'll give you that. I sure could do with an energy boost, but how do you plan to express something like swordsmanship with a cocktail? That definitely matches the description I read in that book. That's right. You really know your stuff. I doubt there's anyone else in all of Tevat who could come up with such a perfect metaphor. There's no need to make it sound so fancy. It's just an aristocratic variant of Favonius bladework, with a bit of personal flair. Firewater. In recent years, firewaters gained popularity the world over, following in the wake of prosperous Snezhnayan merchants. These days, almost every tavern has a signature drink that uses it as a base. You really are good. Why don't we try replacing the fruit wine with firewater? As for the alcohol content, that's not a problem. Plenty of the expedition team may have drunk themselves senseless with firewater. But me, I'm full of confidence. Brilliant! I'm looking forward to seeing how you do.
Here's your all-new Seafoam Sword Song, mixed to meet your personal preferences.
Oh my, what beautiful colors! And you even added my Romaritime flower fruit extract. The aroma is perfect, and I can smell the alcohol, but it doesn't stifle the fruity fragrance. Let's see how it tastes. Give me a moment to come up with the right words. I need to think carefully. I know it's unbecoming of a lady, and a proper connoisseur would savor their drink slowly. But I'm sorry, this is just too good to be true. Can you mix me another? I've completely lost my train of thought. Whatever. I feel fantastic. This cocktail. Oh, it's the best I've ever had. I think I'm gonna head home and get some sleep. Don't worry about me. This is the happiest tipsy I've been in years. I'm still far from being drunk. By the time I've gone a few rounds with that, Miss Chlorine, and completed my reports, I'll have been on duty for 3 months straight. Jean, the acting grandmaster. Isn't it about time she gave me some time off? I won't be forgetting this injustice in a hurry. You mark my words.
Suspicion confirmed. While patrolling the area, I was sure I'd sensed a familiar presence, so I came over to take a look. And sure enough, here you are. If Miss Charlotte were to see you like this, I'm guessing she'd take 100 pictures and write up a report. Sword-wielding traveler's secret side hustle. Exclusive cocktails from Tevat's Explorer Extraordinaire. You'd make the front pages of every major newspaper, and there'd be crowds of Fontanian tourists flocking to your drink stand, causing gridlock on the streets of Mondstadt. Luckily for you, I turned down Miss Charlotte's request to accompany me here, so you're unlikely to be seeing any scenes like that. Let's quietly celebrate this moment of peace. And on that note, I'd like a caramel glaze. That look on your face tells me you have a lot of questions you want to ask. Calm and effortless. I'm shocked to learn you're a real pro at this sort of thing.
Your caramel blaze is ready. Try not to drink it all in one go.
Huh. It sure lives up to its name. The color reminds me of a raging fire, while that aroma really hits you head on. It's quite strong. I'm all right. I just need a little time to get used to it. As I recall, the last time I drank alcohol was at a wine tasting event that Navia invited me to last year. I only had a small sip of Sassica wine, and it was nowhere near as strong as this concoction of yours. From a purely rational perspective, alcohol can cause dizziness and impair one's ability to work, so it's best avoided altogether. But when Miss Farina saw me off at the docks, she mentioned that Mondstadt is the land of wine and poetry. Since I'm here, I thought I should at least try the local specialties. In fact, according to my intelligence, the captain of the reconnaissance company, who I'm preparing to spar with, has quite the refined taste for fine wine. Her publicly available battle reports are truly a sight to behold. Out of the utmost respect for her skills, I feel compelled to deepen my knowledge of Mondstadt's wines. I truly appreciate all the trouble you're going to. Huh? Does that mean she's already finished her commission? Well, she's certainly efficient. Once I return to Fontaine, perhaps I can let Sijui know that I'd be happy to purchase her latest perfume. I'm not sure I'd say that. On my way to Mondstadt, we happened to take the same boat. Naturally, we got to chatting. I've often heard Sijui praise her work. After conversing with her on the journey over, I must say, she is indeed a rare and refined individual. She's gentle and composed, yet keeps others at a distance. Perhaps it's due to her profession. I find this approach ideal. It allows one to maintain a lasting sense of inner peace. Oh, thank you, but there's really no need to set anything up. Our work rarely intersects, and our social circles hardly make for a Venn diagram, if you know what I mean. Best to just let things take their natural course. When I'm working, I often drink coffee. But with meals, I prefer a lighter tasting drink, like Buell fruit juice. Since I eat a lot of meat, the slight acidity of the juice helps balance out the greasiness. Over time, I've grown accustomed to the sour taste. After the swordsmanship exchange, the Knights of Favonius rather kindly treated me to some traditional Mondstadt cuisine. I had 8 different meat dishes, and all of them were excellent. The portions were huge, and only the highest quality cuts were used. Everything was cooked to absolute perfection. Of course, there was still room for improvement. When catering to tourists, the sticky honey roast and pile 'em up might benefit from a slightly lighter sauce. I've certainly tried all the red meat dishes. I think I've had enough calories to sustain 3 days of vigorous work, so I've had to decline all subsequent dining invitations. To be honest, I can still taste the grease. There must be a way to cleanse my palate. Indeed it is. The knights codenamed Hazelnut 3 and Hazelnut 5 gave me this crest. I must say, it's exquisite. They told me the design has only just been finalized. Apparently, it's only presented to important guests. They said they're making a badge for you, too, but it hasn't been finished yet. You're not wrong. I guess it's similar to how I can't remember the name of every clerk in the Palais Mermonia. But I'm certain you'll get to know them in time. They're clearly seasoned veterans. Even though they work desk jobs, they still turn up in full armor. After handling my affairs, they headed to the tavern for a gathering, saying they wanted to continue last night's duel and determine who had the highest alcohol tolerance. Drinking barrels of beer the night before, yet being able to work with clear minds the next day. Whew. So what you're saying is, while Mondstadters may seem carefree, they actually have an admirable ability to know their limits when it comes to drinking. I've seen a little. I took a stroll around the city the first day I got here. Navia's done some rather extensive research on this place. Many of the scenes and illustrations for the tabletop troupe were inspired by views of Mondstadt. However, the way she describes the atmosphere in her world building is quite different from the real Mondstadt. The deepest impression I've got since arriving here is one of swords and shields. Perhaps because I've mostly just visited the blacksmith and the training grounds. Recently, the newer weapons and armor produced in Mondstadt have been created using a completely different heat treatment process from those in Fontaine, with a higher carbon content in the surface layer. While this has slightly reduced their overall toughness, their impact resistance has greatly improved. These newer weapons give off a smell like overbrewed coffee. Perhaps it's because that scent gave me such a positive first impression. You see, Fontaine's signature metalwork is often coated with a protective agent that contains Marcotte. Over time, the faint fragrance becomes overly sweet. And for some reason, it makes my teeth feel funny. I don't imagine the scent of Mondstadt's swords and shields would cause the same level of irritation. Of course, there is a solution to this problem. The next time you find yourself in Fontaine, there's another protective agent I can recommend. One that's as neutral as water, without any excess fragrance. If you also dislike being bombarded with sweetness, this protective agent should suit you well. Are you already planning the details of our hypothetical get-together? Based on my previous experiences with alcohol, I guess my tolerance is similar to Emily's. Fruit liqueur is probably my limit. So when the time comes, I think you'd be best off mixing similar drinks for the both of us. All right, I'll make sure I'm mentally prepared. Even if it's still a bit strong, I'll do my best to finish it.
All right, this new creation is called Leisure Time Lightning. A cocktail made exclusively for champion duelists. Enjoy.
Have you added fruit wine? It tastes wonderful. This is ideal for me. There's a subtle saltiness that combines well with the tartness of the fruit and the sweetness of the caramel. Each sip balances delicately on the edge of perfection. The color of the wine also fits well with the name, and the lightning imagery contrasts with the fiery nature of the caramel glaze. But where does the leisure time part come in? I see. That certainly matches the impression this cocktail gives me. Its unique aroma and taste will hold a special place in my memories of Mondstadt. Do you think, if the chance were to present itself, you'd be interested in mixing drinks somewhere else? A cafe, for instance, or the Hotel de Boer? Mostly for Navia and Miss Farina's sake. Though obviously I'd be more than happy to try more of your masterpieces myself. I understand. I won't try to strong-arm you. In any case, I truly appreciate your hospitality. Thanks to you, whether I'm facing the powerful captain of the reconnaissance company or discussing strategy with the Knights of Favonius, I'll be in my best condition. Shine down!
Stop that! Stay! Up the ante!
That's gonna leave a scar.
Okay! New life!
Illusion shattered!
A moonlit night for all. Surge.
Ha! Now you shall perish!
Thunder!
Element for the end!
Shine down!
Maria sweeping in!
A new moon rises.
Story has only just begun! Watch out!
Torn to oblivion! Illusion shattered!
Get back! Stay away from me!
Now you shall perish!
On me!
Torn to oblivion! There is no escape!
Surge. Hey! Orders given. Orders received.
Illusion shattered! Inazuma shines eternal! Shine!
Make yourselves a move! I see everything! Three moons converge. Flame. Rise. Fall.
There is no escape! Torn to oblivion! Shine down!
escape! Committed to memory! Surge. Opening box of Adepti. The Temple of Wisdom! A new moon rises. Go. Now you shall perish! Shine down! A moonlit night for all. Illusion shattered! Yeah. A new moon rises. Without further ado. Absurd. Lofty wisdom will show us the way. Flame. Shine down. Yeah. Divine light, shield them! Be cleansed! Lofty wisdom will show us the way! Foolish and ignorant! Arrogant and presumptuous! A new moon rises. Take! Without further ado! Everyone hold hands! Wait. Annihilate. Ha. There is no escape! Ha.
Mine to wield.
Hey! Make yourselves at home! Green moons converge. I see everything!
Surge! Mine to wield. Into the void! Extinguish!
Wait. Hey!
Inazuma shines eternal! There is no escape!
Share my knowledge! A moonlit night for all. Wayne.
Torn to oblivion! Illusion shattered! Inazuma shines eternal!
Row! The Temple of Wisdom!
Another star goes
be convenient if we could build a choo-choo cart track straight from here to Mondstadt.
An express line right to the best fish blasting spot?
Oh, okay. Might not be the best idea. Razor? What are you doing here? And shouldn't this thing be in Wolvenden?
Fiery woman came to take Lupical. I said no. She backed down, but then said I would do just as well. This sword is here, for now. I am here to protect it.
Hold on, let Paimon get this straight. Alice was planning to bring Boreas here, but you stopped her. So, she took the illusion of the sword and left you to guard it instead. That would make the trial of Boreas the trial of Razor now, wouldn't it?
We fight. I protect Lupical.
Wow! Looks like Paimon's guess was spot on! Don't worry, Razor. No one's gonna take this sword. It's not even real.
Not real?
Alice's scheming claims another victim, huh? Let's take the photo and get Razor out of here. Rand? You're here in Mondstadt?
Yes. I received an invitation to exchange swordsmanship techniques. I'd heard of the single-handed sword form of Favonius blade work. But, after crossing swords with Miss Eula, it turns out the Knights of Favonius are quite accomplished with the greatsword as well.
You're quite an accomplished swordsman yourself. Although I suppose that's to be expected of the champion duelist. Even over a few short rounds, I feel like we've learned a lot from each other.
For sure. You don't have to worry about breaking stuff or accidentally hurting anyone nearby.
That's right. There also appear to be automatic harpasta launchers in the area.
Ah, that's one of your local traditions, isn't it? Shall we have ourselves a game, then?
Why not? You should know, though, I'm not easy to beat at this game. Ah, hold on. No muskets allowed.
Oh, why not? Doesn't it still count as hitting the harpastum?
A sword's range is limited, though, so it wouldn't be fair.
Ah, of course. Then you should use a gun as well. Voila, problem solved.
Hey there, friend. Well, we couldn't just drag Catherine in here, could we? What would the Real Adventurers Guild do without her? Not that she ever shows it on the outside, but she's one busy bee, that's for sure. I mean, just think about how much time it must take to travel between all the different nations. Anyway, I heard this whole world was constructed from magic. Incredible stuff. Even the books on this shelf are real. Not a single prop to be found. Huh. I really gotta take a better look around once this gig's done. Not today, I'm afraid. The funds I need haven't transferred in yet. Once I've earned enough more from this trip, I'll open up shop at the usual spot. True, but it doesn't seem like the people who created this place set up anything like that. Hey, why don't I go ask for some, and then we all can have a few? Huh. But could we even take them back into the real world? Well, that's the question.
So that's where it was. Diona? What are you doing here? It's my first time seeing these little guys. They're from that land, right? Oh, they're so cute. Alice put a version of the cat's tail here and asked me to run it. It has the setup I'm used to and everything. Now, all I need to do is make some drinks. And you know what? This is the perfect chance to change all the ingredients to super weird stuff. I'll get people to lose interest for sure. Looks like your campaign is going strong, huh? Even out here. Of course, the only thing missing is the cats, actually. They seem to prefer the real cat's tail. But that's not a huge surprise. Cats are sensitive about where they live. Even if the place looks exactly the same, they'll know something's off. So, Alice said she would find different staff instead. And then these little saurians appeared. Aww. Then it gave me a few pointers on how to get along with them. Turns out, there's not a huge difference between them and a cat or a dog. Hey! Then you should call this place the Saurian's Tail instead. Huh. I think I've seen saurian-shaped cookies somewhere before, too. Maybe I should bake some to sell around here. Found it! Barbara, over here! Coming! Oh, how did this happen? Barbara and I were just grabbing some food at Good Hunter. But then, how do I even put this? The sweet madame and sticky honey roast we ordered came to life. Sorry, what? That's right. I managed to catch the sweet madame earlier. Come on, let's wrangle this thing so we can head back and eat. Wait, what? Uh-oh. What is it? More pigeons and forest boars! The rest of our lunch is making a break for it! Huh? Isn't this a Fatui tent? That shouldn't be here. Wait, but there are always those two Fatui around here chatting about stuff.
You've noticed them too? I've been watching them for a long time. Not that I've overheard anything useful. Guess it's just my luck.
Well, actually, they seem to get information a bit slower than the Knights of Favonius. So they usually end up discussing stuff that hasn't been secret in a long time.
Have you guys ever wondered why they don't just go home? Their mission's gotta be over at this point, right?
Maybe their names got skipped over on the mission roster, so they never got new orders. That's happened to me before.
I suppose, but your experiences tend to be quite unique. It's possible the Fatui stationed them here long-term to keep an eye on things. Or maybe they volunteered for this position because they don't want to go back.
Either way, we should have Nicole take this tent down. It's making Paimon think we're gonna have to fight someone.
I guess you're right. We don't want people getting their hopes up.
look local to Mondstadt.
Ad Astra Abyssosk. Welcome to the Adventurers Guild.
you for completing today's commissions. Here is your reward.
When you're high up, everyone can hear your voice. There's a strange wanderer.
Life goes on. Torn to oblivion! Insolent! There is no escape! Wheel of life. Illusion shattered!
everything! Surge. Life goes on. Wheel of life.
Torn to oblivion! Shine down! There is no escape!
Everyone help me!
Illusion shattered!
Hey! A new moon rises. Flame. Rise. Life goes on.
Now you shall perish! Torn to oblivion! Shine down!
Everyone help me! Go. Rise.
Now you shall perish! Illusion shattered!
Life goes on. I see everything. Surge. Sacred name. Fortune preserver.
Torn to oblivion!
Rise.
Now you shall perish! is no escape!
Huh?